Is the JetBlue flight attendant a working class hero or a first class moron? It's your call right now. Stephen SLATER is to some a working class hero, a guy who had it up to here with his job and who basically said, take this job and shove it. But to others, he's a guy on the edge, someone who reacted poorly to the stresses of his job, a disgruntled employee whose actions were dangerous, not to mention illegal. What do you think about the JetBlue flight attendant? We're going to find out. Hi there, everyone. Glad to have you with us. I'm Lynn Doyle. Our topic this hour, workplace horror stories. It's born out of that story about the JetBlue flight attendant, Stephen SLATER. First up, I want to know what you think about this guy. Is he some kind of hero? Or is he an example of how not to make your point? If you want to tell me what you think, email me right now your thoughts and your personal workplace horror story. I'm at lynn@lynndoyle.net. Have a great group of people here. We're going to talk about this and tell us what to do if you find yourself feeling like you just about had it. Ennis Harris is the president and CEO of Global Career Consultants. That's a firm that provides career consulting, training, and coaching, something this guy obviously could have used. Edith Pierce is an employment attorney and principal of the Pierce Law Firm in Philadelphia. And Ed Comboy is a staff therapist at the Council for Relationships. Over the last 20 years, he's worked with a lot of individuals who perform under unusual stress. So welcome everybody, and let me just ask right away, are you surprised that this guy's being held up as some kind of working class hero?
Well, I think he did what a lot of people want to do. When they've had it, Lynn, and they say, listen, I have had it, I want to leave, I want to get out of here, I'm done. That's okay. You know what? That's what's great about this country. No one, unless absent a contract, they can't keep you in a job. But the problem is his execution. Bad form, bad style, shouldn't do it that way. I mean, put people at risk, property at risk, and on top of that, it didn't take in consideration other people.
Right. Well, yeah, the execution was ill-advised, but you know, I think there's some bad judgment there, but it's very understandable what happens, especially when I'm looking at flight attendants and people who have enormous pressure and very little control over their work lives. That's the key, is the lack of control they have, and I think that's what people are responding to.
I guess we're really fortunate that this didn't happen at 30,000 feet in the air. I mean, at least he was on the ground when he decided to jump out.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was actually talking to a flight attendant a couple days ago, and I asked him, I said, what do you think about this to happen? He goes, good for him. This is something that we've all wanted to do at some point. So I'm pretty surprised about the overall reaction, but because of the climate and the workforce and the work environment, I'm not 100% surprised.
You know, I pitched this question to our Facebook friends and got an enormous response to it, but he has followers out of the world. I mean, the numbers are like amazing. The people who are fans of Stephen SLATER, and now they're saying that he's going to be the star of a reality show. It seems to me that these days bad behavior is being rewarded by Facebook and tweeting followers and jobs.
Well, it's the old let's watch a train wreck. I mean, I think that, you know, it's entertaining. Some people identify with it. It's something that you maybe would pull out of a movie because people can identify to a certain degree, except that when you have a job, you have a responsibility, and some people's responsibilities, to others is greater than others in a job. But still, if you have a job, you have a responsibility, and you need to follow through on that responsibility. That doesn't mean you can't quit when you're done, but you sort of have to wait till you're done.
I think you're right there too, but I think there also is a very low threshold now for celebrity. You know, it's just this is part of an entertainment factor. I think it's an accident. I don't even think the question about deserving this status is sort of it gets granted to people because it seems to connect and it resonates some way. And so I really don't think this is about that. I think this is something. It's sort of like the Joe the Plumber kind of thing, where it's an accident of history, and people now are beginning to. And I think he probably will begin to use that to his advantage.
And I think, it was a poor exit strategy.
In so many ways. I'm going right down the chute, baby.
But an entertaining one.
Right, entertaining one. But I think a lot of people are very fed up. They're working more getting less. The benefits are lacking. A lot of people are not getting paid based on all this work that they're doing. And I think there's a buildup of frustration. And instead of them seeking help or talking to a professional about their feelings or even talking to management, they're just reacting. And then that's definitely poor judgment. And there are consequences for that behavior.
Right. And I think one of the problems that I see, and I think that people have a hard time with, is learning or relearning interpersonal reactions and interactions, because I think a lot of people, maybe it's because of technology, have forgotten how just to interact with somebody else face to face and deal with a problem, because many times they don't have to do that, and that's a skill that's so important, because in all honesty, maybe you want to keep that job.
Yeah.
So if you need to keep that job, you need to learn those skills or relearn those skills so that you can do so.
Well, we're going to talk about those skills later in the show, but right now I want to invite our viewers to be part of this. Tell me what you think about this JetBlue flight attendant. In your mind, is he a hero or is he an absolute disgrace? And how about you? Have you ever felt like just walking off the job? Are you unhappy with your work? Or, like so many of us, are you just grateful to have a job? If you want to tell us what you think, you can email me directly. I'm at lynn@lynndoyle.net. As I said, you can also find us on Facebook. We're on MySpace and YouTube as well. We're already getting a lot of response on our Facebook page. So if you want to tell us what you think, you can either go there or you can go here. Let's find out what some of the people have to say. Is he a working class hero or a first class moron? Let's find out what you have to say. Tara says, I think what he did was awesome. Everyone working in the service industry has had those moments but haven't acted on them. Everyone has their boiling point. Nowadays, people are so rude to the people who help and serve them. So she's a supporter of Stephen. Gary, though, says he's a first-class moron who's looking for his 15 minutes of fame. He'll likely get it and more. This guy is not a hero. Remember, September 11th, the firefighters, policemen, and emergency workers who lost their lives are heroes to me. And he says this country has a very warped definition of hero, and that's exactly to your point, Ed.
Yeah, but I also think it's no accident that this was about a flight attendant, because I think the airline industry is the canary in the mine shaft. They're the ones that I think have been affected first and hardest early on as our economy is changing. And they have experienced enormous sacrifices and incredible pressures, especially happening in the summer. It's not an accident this happened now.
Much like the passengers. I mean, you know, now this is a recipe for disaster,
Yes,
because
it is.
if the working environment is already stressful, and of course traveling for us these days is stressful, you put these two together, we're lucky that this situation didn't boil over and actually be uglier.
Right.
My question, though, is that everyone who talks about this guy said he loved his job up until this incident, that he loved to fly, that he'd like to fly again. So it didn't sound to me like it was one guy saying, I've had it after 28 years, take this job and shove it. It was more like this one person just pushed him too far.
Again, I think it was a buildup of experiences, of disappointment. I read something, I don't know if it's true or not, that his mother was dying or she was suffering an illness. I don't know if that's 100%, but that was what was written. So people bring their personal issues into work as well. My concern is from a managerial standpoint. I think a lot of people are disconnected with their managers, with people in which they need to talk to and convey what they're feeling, their experiences, and get the necessary training or coaching or counseling to help them to overcome these issues.
All right, on that note, I have to take a quick break, but we're going to give you an opportunity to tell us what you think and what you should do if, in fact, you feel like you're about to explode at work. We're going to give you hints on that when we come back. Hopefully, we'll be here. If no one walks